under the leadership of my colleague Voltaire Villanueva, who I want to introduce.
The dead preferred name change, name implementation process at the district. She notes that her dead name is still appearing in public-facing places on the Anza schedule of classes and the school websites. Alicia also shared with me the ETS True Preferred Name Phase 2 document, which includes a table of milestones and completion dates. And in this document, nothing in that table has been marked as completed since December of 2020. That was 18 months ago. After hearing at the beginning of this meeting about the terrible statistics concerning suicide rates among queer and transgender folks, I am begging the district to do better and work faster at improving this process and preventing the dead naming and outing of our transgender employees and students. Lives could literally be at stake here. I'm further disheartened at what I can only describe as the attack that the Anza affinity groups are currently under. Not only are they being delegitimized by our own faculty director of equity, as we heard at the start of this meeting, they are also now being undermined and delegitimized by the Anza College President Holmes, who stated at Thursday's College Council meeting that he does not approve of including representatives from our recognized affinity groups in our new shared governance structure that we hope to roll out this coming fall. The Anza Academic Senate held a vote just a few hours ago this afternoon directing me as the body's president and representative on College Council to reject any shared governance model that does not uphold and respect the gains achieved by our employees of color in recent years, including voting membership on shared governance bodies. I'm very concerned about the road that we seem to be starting down in the future of shared governance at Anza College.
Thank you. Tim? Nothing, Tim? Oh, wow. Okay, thank you.
Share concerns regarding the direction of our, address some concerns that we have with the direction of our Office of Equity and Association. If you could please raise your hand if you're part of APOSA or for whereas President Maurer demonstrated a strong commitment to share good.
Next is Erick Aragon. Welcome, Eric.
Hello.
We'll have 2 minutes.
2 minutes, all right.
If you can wait until the timer.
Is there a timer that I could visually see, or?
Sure, just give us one moment here. Thank you. There we go.
All right, perfect. So, hi everyone. My name is Erick Aragon. I'm a counselor with the Outreach Office at Anza, but I'm also the co-chair for Asian Pacific American Staff Association at Anza College. I'm also here with the Anza College Latinx Association. If you could please raise your hand if you're part of APOSA or from DALA. We are here to address some concerns that we have with the direction of our Office of Equity and the leadership of our Director of Equity. I'm going to go and read a statement that we had sent to all the Board of Trustees along with some attachments that we had. So I'm going to be reading this letter along with my colleagues from DALA and APOSA. Dear Chancellor, Minor, and members of the Board, we are writing to you today to share concerns regarding the direction of our Campus Office of Equity under the new leadership of Dr. Tabia Lee, aka Dr. Lee. As Faculty Director of Equity, Social Justice, and Multicultural Education. Over the course of this year, Dr. Lee has taken positions on a number of issues that are adversarial and hostile towards our district's and college values on anti-racism, social justice, and equity. In addition, her recent conduct toward affinity groups and other members of our campus community has created a hostile work environment on our campus. We are sharing these concerns with the board because we believe that Dr. Lee's intentions to rewrite campus and district policies are not in good faith and run counter to the goal of developing a racially just, inclusive, and affirming campus environment. Below, we provide the details and actions and positions she has taken that have impacted and harmed equity and inclusion gains that this college, district, and countless individuals have worked so hard to pursue.
Thank you. Maristella Tapia,
Thank you.
reset the timer, please.
My name is Maristella Tapia. I'm here representing Bala at the Anza. You're sharing these concerns, in several shared governance spaces on campus and on multiple occasions, Dr. Lee has taken positions that directly contradict her role as faculty director of equity. She has repeatedly advocated to remove the language of anti-racism from institutional documents, arguing that anti-racism is harmful and divisive ideology that prevents instructors from being able to implement diverse pedagogies and violates academic freedom. According to the job description for Faculty Director of Equity, Dr. Lee was hired to demonstrate, quote, initiative and creativity in developing and implementing anti-racist and anti-oppressive in-services, as well as educational programs, end quote. It is alarming that not only is Dr. Lee refusing to do the work she was hired to do, she's actively seeking to undo the years of hard work towards anti-racism that so many of us have painstakingly contributed to. On March 2nd, Dr. Lee facilitated an event that she called Protecting Freedom of Expression on Campus in the Face of Rising Intolerance. Although she presented the event as coming out of the Equity Office, Dr. Lee did not collaborate with nor consult Equity Office team members about the specifics of this event. The event was billed as an anti-Semitism workshop with a panel discussion, yet there was no real panel. Instead, the event centered on a presentation by one Tammy Rossman Benjamin on behalf of the AFMA Initiative, an organization that conflates anti-Zionist speech with anti-Semitic speech by their own admission on their website. What became clear to those of us who attended the event was that the event was not at all about the topic of anti-Semitism. Rather, it was a machination for changing our board's district and discrimination and harassment policy from one that removes protections from discrimination for marginalized and stigmatized groups in its definition of harassment.
Thank you. Jorge Morales?
Yes. My name is Jorge Morales, and I'm representing NALA. The speaker's entire presentation ended in this push to change board policy. Our goal is to shift from the idea that students should be protected by virtue of membership, in a particular identity group, to the idea that every student's right to express their identity is the thing that should be protected. This new approach involves moving beyond teen harassment as just an indicator of identity motivated discrimination to seeing it in purely behavioral terms. This decontextualization of discrimination and harassment fails to acknowledge institutional inequalities and historical and current forms of discrimination that marginalized populations face, placing individuals with institutional and structural privilege and power on the same footing as marginalized groups. This is the opposite of equity. This is the same reason that we as a district have affirmed that Black Lives Matter, rather than adopting the misguided, colorblind, and decontextualized phrase, All Lives Matter, often used to dismiss the legitimate impact of racism in the lives of Black people. After the speaker's presentation, Dr. Lee explained that she and ACMA would be presenting these proposed changes to the chancellor and board. More recently, Dr. Lee's public statements have established an adversarial relationship with affinity groups on our campus. During an April 25th academic senate discussion about granting voting privileges to representatives of DALA and APASA, the Black and Faculty Association, Dr. Lee read and submitted a prepared statement arguing that affinity groups should not get voting privileges. Her statement included a range of arguments against the legitimacy and importance of affinity groups, including that they contribute to tribalism, a word with heavy racist connotations, that affinity groups hold no veritable benefit for students, and lastly, that because there is not a white affinity group, that DALA, BFSA, and APASA should not get voting membership in Senate.
Thank you. Noemi?
Hi, Noemi Teppang, counselor faculty with Anza College and a member of APASA. Affinity groups members found it difficult to believe that the faculty director of equity would advocate to disenfranchise the voices of people of color on campus and delegitimize affinity groups. And yet this is exactly what Dr. Lee set out to do. In response to her proposal, DALA and APASA responded with their own statements in support of granting affinity group voting rights. And BFSA also affirmed their support of DALA and APASA statements and position on voting rights. On May 2nd, during a campus rights strategic planning meeting,
Dr. Lee again acted in a manner that damaged her relationships with the affinity group, particularly with Dala and Apasa. In the chat, she made comments objecting to the use of gender-inclusive terms Latinx and Filipinx, used to describe disproportionately impacted student groups in the strategic plan, stating that these terms were problematic. When she asked to take her concerns to these groups regarding these terms directly to the affinity groups, Dr. Lee openly lied, stating that she had communicated with the affinity groups when in fact she had never discussed this particular issue, and we can all vouch for that in Apasa and Dala. All of us who were present in that meeting were shocked to see that she had misrepresented the truth so boldly in a public forum and felt the need to email a statement in response to her comments to members of the college planning committee as well as to Dr. Lee directly. Rather than consider how her actions might have impacted our affinity groups, thoughtfully seek a way to amend the offense, Dr. Lee immediately emailed the committee back, reasserting her objections to these terms and taking no responsibility for any misrepresentation. Additionally, to add insult to injury, she continued to disparage Dala and Apasa as tribal affinity groups and dismissed individual affinity group members as woke do-gooders. Following this incident, the FSA reached out to us and said they support the autonomy and self-determination of our affinity groups.
Thank you. Andrea?
Hello, my name is Andrea Santa Cruz, and I'm an international student advisor at Anza. Dr. Lee's conduct has effectively alienated the majority of affinity groups that she was hired to collaborate with in her role as faculty director of equity. However, the impact of her actions extend beyond just affinity groups. Early on in the academic year, she sent out a statement to the entire campus via multiple listservs that created a chilling effect on people's willingness to discuss matters directly with her, and that contributed to an unsafe and hostile working environment. Dr. Lee referred to this communication as a report. However, it read more like a personalized rant and attack against her perceived enemies on campus. In doing this, Dr. Lee unethically utilized her college-wide role and platform to publicly call out a fellow colleague who came to her with questions and concerns about her disregard for the term anti-racism. In this report, Dr. Lee also publicly discharged her dean and tenure committee. To this day, many colleagues simply do not feel safe discussing matters with Dr. Lee privately, as they do not want to be misrepresented or defamed publicly by her in the same manner.
Thank you. And Linda, welcome.
Linda Conroy, retired Anza College faculty, teacher, child development. We are sharing these concerns with the board today because we believe that Dr. Lee's intentions to rewrite campus and district policies jeopardizes and sets back the progress the college has made in developing a racially just, inclusive, and affirming campus environment. We are concerned about the impact of Dr. Lee's ability to disrupt and co-opt equity for her own personal agenda or gain, and worry that if allowed to remain in this role, she will continue to undermine the commitment to anti-racism and equity that our district has fought so hard to affirm. In fact, her words and actions have already caused irreparable damage to many relationships across the campus that she needs to be effective in her role. Dr. Lee has slowed our campus progress on anti-racist initiatives and work. She has alienated affinity groups from the Equity Office initiatives under her leadership. She has alienated members of the Campus Equity Office from the office itself. And she has created an unsafe environment for sharing concerns that the direction of equity work under her leadership. Because of all these things, Dala and Apasa do not have confidence in her leadership or ability to carry out her role in the best interest of our college. We ask the board to pay urgent attention to this matter and swiftly remove her from the position of Faculty Director of Equity of Anza College. Signed, the Anza Latinx Association, Dala, Asian Pacific American Staff Association, Anza.
Thank you, Linda. Next, I'd like to call Professor Ken Horowitz. Followed by Roy Wilson. Welcome, Professor.
My name is Ken Horowitz, and I
Been in the trenches here at Foothill College for 46 years. Seen a lot. You heard earlier this evening about, during the closed session,